We're in Paris then, it's raining here in France. Sebastian Ocampo on pole from Revo and his teammate Inet Fabness. Then it's T. Gabo, best ever qualifying position, he starts 4th. Iwold is 5th from Marcus Nelson and August Regazzoni. Sebastian Chantan starts 8th from P. Sierra and Akari in the number 10 car, he starts 10th. Yuki is 11th, then it's Inokui, Daf Sanchez, David Camino, Neil Rez, Santino Milan, winner of the time race earlier on this season, Daniel Boltasarov, Leo, Cable, Lars Leclerc, Michael Novikov, and Tommy. Well, with only a handful of rounds left to go, the number 7 seems unbeatable. All 5 lights go on. And the Parisian E3 is green, and that's one hell of a start from the front row, man. I think Revo might actually have gotten a better second phase of the launch, but Ocampo is still holding on to that race lead by a thread. He's got up the inside line, coming into the first chicane. So as we come through, Marcus Nelson has gotten a track limits warning corner cut. It shows up on our boards, but it is Ocampo who leads the way from the 2 hyperdrives as Daniel Boltasarov gets a 5-second time penalty. You can see Iwold up into P3, almost there for the number 21 Mercedes Formula E team driver. Is still right there with Babinus as he's right on the gearbox, but he's just got to get closer. You need to be up close and personal with a lot of drivers if you want to try and make the move. Inet Babinus, oh, that's Gabo! Gabo re-overtaking Iwold. That was a fight for 4th that we would have really liked to have seen earlier, but you can still see how hard all of these drivers are fighting, even though it's the end of the season. Neil Rez, however, the man who could deny Revo a World Drivers' Championship, he's currently down in 19th. He hasn't had the run needed to deny the number 7. So if Revo was to win a championship this season, it would be very, very easy. As here he comes, Revo, trying to get past the season 14 champion. You know, Ocampo's run with the one before, but he's not going to run away with this one today because he's still got Revo right behind him. He's going to try and look around the outside. Ocampo, fastest first sector of anyone. As Santino Milan getting past Leo, almost getting past Daf Sanchez, does get past Daf Sanchez according to our timing boards, but there must have been an error because he is not anywhere close to ahead. Babinus going to try and find a way to get past Revo ahead, trying to send it down the inside. He's still with him. 2/10 of a second the gap on lap 2. Doesn't try and send it yet because he understands one issue with this track is if you make a mistake, it's going to cost you big time. 5 seconds for Daniel Boltasarov, causing a collision. He's up into 16th, so he's made quite the lunge, but it absolutely cannot have worked too well. David Camino further ahead, colliding with the back of Leo. He's going to get past him. T. Gabo, 5-second time penalty. Revo right alongside Ocampo now. The rain is still falling here in France, but the Italian number 7 in that hyperdrive car trying to deny Sebastian Ocampo a race win here. Lars Leclerc getting a time, not even a time penalty, a corner cut warning. You see those a lot around here, especially in the first sector. Leo sets the fastest first sector of anyone. That's really unseen for an Aurelio Pinnacle driver, and especially this season, considering how much they've fallen off. But Revo is still there with the season 14 champion, as Revo looks to be set on winning this season's championship. He hasn't looked to be beaten on a consistent basis by anyone. That run of 4 race wins in a row, that was absolutely perfect. Exactly what he needed. UK fighting with Boltasarov over 17th position. Unlike last season at this track layout, UK ball making a lot smoother moves. But Revo, you can see he's actually dropped off coming out for the final 2 turns. We're on to lap 4 of 15 here in Paris. Ocampo from Revo from Babinus, the top 3. We haven't lost any driver from this E3 yet. T. Gabo driving for Virgin Renault. The 2 Italian drivers in the championship look to be performing really well here in France. 2nd and 4th for Revo and Gabo. That's really, really good to see. But Ocampo for the Philippines still doing much better. Sierra setting a fastest first sector of anyone. But for the home driver in Daniel Boltasarov, 10 seconds of time penalties and down in 17th is not what any driver would want to have happen to them. Bravo closing up to the back of Ocampo, as it has been all race long, but as it has been all race long, he hasn't been able to find any way to get past. That is Marcus Nelson staying ahead of P. Sierra and Vasquez Tan. Almost thought that Tan had a puncture there, but he doesn't, thankfully. So he's going to remain in 9th as long as Suo doesn't find a way to get past. We haven't really been seeing too much of the number 19 in these races just too often, but he is still racing, we promise you. We're a third of the way through the C3 as iWorld sets the fastest third sector of anyone. iWorld currently in 5th position and not really being challenged and not really challenging T. Gabo. It's just a really simple fight for the lead at this point. It's really just waiting for Ocampo to make a mistake for Rebo. He's not really forcing him into anything. If anything, I'd say Rebo's been making a few more mistakes. Novikov has dropped down to last position then. His teammates found his way up into 17th. That's the thing about Tommy. Once a third of the race passes by, it's almost like the jets get turned up for him. So I expect him to get at least 1 point for the next TV Formula E team. Gabo, however, pressuring Hyperdrive Racing, who have announced into their new livery privately. We hear, so say rumors connected to the United Kingdom-based team, as Santino Milan goes alongside David Camino. But he's now under threat from Tommy. He's got himself up into 15th here. He was 16th before. He's alongside Santino. Ocampo breaking away from Rebo now on lap 6 of 15. Let's take a look at this. He's ahead of Camino is Santino Milan. So Tommy not really being able to make any overtakes. Camino right there with Santino. He's going to get himself back up into 14th. So now the Nissan Nismo 43 having to hold station for now. But there you go. That's Camino still having to defend from the super rookie in that Nissan. He had a great start to the season, but it's just mellowed out ever so slightly. He's been one of the fastest men ever to win their first race. And only his third appearance in this championship, he did win a race. So obviously everyone has his eyes on him just to watch what he can do. Babinets has gone ahead of Revo. Revo has dropped behind his teammate. Santino Milan has dropped behind David Camino. But I think in terms of his morale, Revo dropping behind his own teammate, especially when it comes to when the track dries out eventually, it's not going to stay wet for the entire race, we don't think. For Babinets to be ahead, that's just, it's got to be a little bit of a worry for Hyperdrive. Is Revo really worth the hype? Well, of course he is. He won 4 races on the bounce. So, he's rightfully hyped up. But we are still watching the top 4 behind Ocampo, who is really shooting off into the distance with this one. But Babinet's trying to claw him back. We saw there for a split second there as 1.1 seconds. It's opened back up to 1.7. The rain falling a lot less now. And for Babinets and Revo, once the track dries up, they are not close enough to get past Ocampo right now or in the pits, especially considering how close the field is still. So if they were to come in now, that would be pretty detrimental to the rest of their race if they couldn't pick it up later on. Clerk currently in 19th, but look at UK Ball. This man, Season 10 champion, after Season 10, he's barely won a race. I cannot think of a UK Ball race win. It's kind of saddening for me, because this man in UK Ball has been Revo's teammate. Before Season 10, those two were touted as two of the greatest drivers in this championship to never win a title. But now UK Ball has won a title. It almost feels like he's just stopped. Like the flow has moved away from him. De Klerk getting passed by UK Ball, who's trying to put some moves in. That's very wide from the 89. Almost hit the wall. If he did hit the wall, he would have been out of the race in a similar way as Bob. And I'm pretty sure, no, it was the end of Season 15. I was almost going to say it was in the playoffs, which we have announced how they're going to work on the Discord server. So if you want to see how that's going to happen, you can click the link in the channel bio, join that Discord server, ask about the FEMC, and we will provide to you a link to the FEMC Discord server, and it has started drying. Sebastian Ocampo is coming into the pits. The 2 hyperdrives in. Virtual safety car, 3 drivers out at the last turn. That's Leo, Camino, and Santino Milan all out of the E-Prix at the exact same turn. Virtual safety car is out, and Sebastian Ocampo is out of the pits in the lead. Where is the rest of the drivers? Cabo's come out of the pits. He's going to be P3 because Vashi Chantan has come out of the pits, and he is... What is he doing? He's on the grass. I don't know what the problem with Tan is, but he's violating track limits. I think he might have a mechanical problem here. So now T Gabo should be able to get past, and Ravo's still on Inters. VSC, Vashi Chantan out of the E-Prix. And Ravo for Hyperdrive Racing, he's still out there on intermediate tyres. I don't know what's happened there for Hyperdrive to make a mistake as massive as that one. But whatever it is, with 6 laps to go, the man who started this race in 2nd position, I think he'd be lucky to score points after today. And to be honest, for Milrose, the man who is currently 2nd in the World Driver Standings, he's not going to gain too much from this. He is not going to gain much of anything from this. So T Gabo currently is 2nd place in the 29 version Renault. He really would like to win this race, and is that Ravo out? No, that's Wallace Leclerc out of the E-Prix, and you can see why. That's a massive shunt. That's collected the championship leader of Ravo. He's dropped to the back of the field. Virtual safety car out again, this time for Wallace Leclerc. But there was a blockage there that included the current championship leader, P. Sierra, has gotten himself a 5-second time penalty. And you've got to think for Ravo right now, he's going to be so lucky to not actually be out of this E-Prix. But he is down in 17th position. For him right now, not finishing and finishing currently would basically be the same thing, because there is only a handful of laps left and he is not going to finish them. Ravo, your championship leader, is out of the E-Prix. That is going to bring Milrez much more into play. But he's 21 seconds off the lead, but he is on medium tyres. So he should be able to go to the end of the race. He's unlike other drivers who would need to pit twice. And not QE on hard tyres. He might actually be in a prime position to win this. He doesn't have to pit again. All the other drivers may have to pit again. Especially come race's end, they're all going to have completely woeful grip. But for Anot QE and Daniel Baltasar, the home driver, currently in 14th, they're both going to have a very good shot at going to the end of this with very little when it comes to grip and degradation because they're on the hards. Baltasar, as we talk about that, a little bit spaced away from Michael Novikov. Tommy, by the way, from last on the grid, he's currently up to 8th. As it was in Montreal, he's been making some very quick moves. But you can see there's this little bit of a divide in the field. You have Ocampo, you have Gabo, you have Nelson and Babinus. Babinus trying to get past Marcus to deny the British number 13 driver. As Tommy gets a 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner, and neither hyperdrive car will finish. Out of the race goes Iron Babinus, and that is a massive double hit shunt. Is he okay? He's the Romanian. Fine there. He's out of the car. He's fine. Thankfully, even with a shunt as massive as that, it looks like the entire front suspension just sheared off, and he got hit from the front and from the back. But he did survive that crash, thankfully. We go back racing then. On lap 11 of 15, we're down to 15 runners in the E-Prix. One runner, one driver for every lap we have run. We should run by the end of this race. Sierra in that number 77. It's a great return to racing in this championship Sierra is having. And to be completely honest with you, I've seen worse. I have seen worse returns to racing. Case in point, Lawless Leclerc. And I guess UK Ball as well, since after he returned from Formula 1, he just hasn't really looked like he's had it. Bogdasarov facing pressure from Dav Sanchez, who decides to peel into pit lane on lap 12. I do believe that should be either mediums or softs going on. Let's take a look. Those are yellow. Mediums going on to Sanchez's car then. Now, as someone got a track limits warning there. Yellow coming through and into the final sector. You've got the entire field who is currently running in an Andretti sandwich, but you can see how much Gabo is struggling out there with his soft tires. Similar story for August Regazzoni, and out of the race goes August Regazzoni. The Toyota driver is out of this race on lap 12. Soft tires have not held up too much for him, and that is how his race is going to end. Gabo comes into the pits. Nelson comes into the pits. Iworld, what's Iworld going to do? He's going to peel onto pit lane as well. Tommy is going to stay out, and he's going to inherit P2. Suo's in, and probably as a precaution if something like that were to happen to him, like it did to his teammate. But Tommy is now up into second, and Kiwi up into third. And for an Kiwi, he smells blood here. Same for T Gabo. They can both win this race as long as the two men ahead of them, Tommy and Ocampo, face misfortune, which of course is a horrible thing to wish upon another driver, another competitor. But when it comes to racing, sometimes you just gotta hope something bad happens to your main competitors, you know? It's not always about if you can win, it's more about forcing the most likely scenarios for you to win to actually happen. But Ocampo's made it through that chicane quite fine. So not Kiwi now trying to get past Tommy on the road. But you can see there's a little bit of wobbling from both drivers there. A lot of weaving from Ocampo, who peels into pit lane. Tommy is going to also most likely come in. And not Kiwi, as I said earlier, is fine for the end of the race. But the question is, will he go to the end of the race? Will he come in? And if he does, that will put this man and T Gabo in a perfect opportunity to win. They've both got attack mode, and T Gabo is going to go up into second place. T Gabo to P2. An earlier pit stop has just saved the Virgin drivers' race. He's only in his second season, but that strategical moment from Virgin Renault has saved them from being just second currently, because Tommy's got a 5-second time penalty. Gabo's got the net race lead. He's going to try for the real race lead on the road. But all he has to do is make the right move or coax Tommy into making the wrong move. UK Ball now, after coming into the pits, has come out in last position. Can Tommy hold on to that race lead? Sanchez has gone on himself a corner cut warning. That's very wide from Tommy. Almost colliding with the Virgin. He's got a pit. And Gabo's got a time penalty. See, Gabo's got a time penalty, and not Kiwi is now in prime position to win this E3. All down to few strategical and racing errors from the two men in front of him. We're on to the final lap here in Paris, and Marcus Nelson takes the lead. Currently, as it would stand, it would be the race lead. Iworld fastest lap of the E3. Tommy cuts a corner. We've got a new fastest lap from Yuki Suo, a 1:2.75. That's really blistering times, but he has also cut a corner on this final lap of the E3. Brilliant racing from across the pack. Bogdasarov in his home race gets a corner cut warning. He's currently in 10th, but look at this. Gabo has gotten himself into the lead. Sierra's gotten himself a 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner as the top two. Out of the race goes Tommy. Tommy out of the E3. And that is going to bring a swift end to proceedings. And Gabo now, he's got to try and keep to that minimum time of the VSC Delta as closely as he can, because if not, that is it. He's going to currently emerge from this in 4th. It wouldn't be awful. So on the road, Virgin Renault secure their first place finish on track. But taking into account penalties, it is Marcus Nelson, your race winner here in Paris. And Kiwi 2nd, Ocampo 4th, at 3rd, Gabo will be 4th. Iworld will be 5th. That was close for Ocampo to be on the podium. Suo 6th, Bogdasarov will come home 7th on the road. Akari will come home to take 7th away from Bogdasarov here. Sierra will be 9th on the road. Novikov 10th on the road. And Milrez I do believe he should be able to get points here. He's not going to get past Novikov there. Sanchez 12th and Ukable 13th for the fastest third sector. My oh my, what a finish to that race. Marcus Nelson takes home a race win. Bad Sportsline is his most glorious win yet. I'm pretty sure it's his first win since season 12. And Fury comes home with a P2 and Sebastian Ocampo is third. Then it's T. Gabo, Iwold, Yuki Suo, Akari, and Daniel Bogdasarov, your top 8. And that's Michael Novikov and Neil as your finishers with points. Your non-point scorers were Dash Sanchez, Ukable, and P. Sierra. Your non-finishers were Tommy, August Rigazzoni, Einit Babnas, Ravo, Lawrence Leclerc, Vasily Chantan, Leo, Santino Milan, and David Camno. In the driver's standings, Ravo leads the way on 167 points. As we enter race 17, we have 26 points on offer in race 17, another 26 for the next 3 rounds. So we have 4 rounds, 104 points left for Milres to try and close in on Webo. If he could do it, it would be the best we've seen of any driver. And not QE currently third, but under threat from Camino and Marcus Nelson. And also Tommy and Yuki Suo, all of these drivers very close to each other. Bogdasarov with a very comfortable 8th. Then it's August Rigazzoni, Sebo Campo, and the 2 Pinnacle cars who are currently looking to enter the playoffs. Then it's Lawrence Leclerc, Ukable and Santino Milan tied on points. Then it's Dav Sanchez, Iwold, P. Sierra, Michael Novikov, Einit Babinets, T. Gabo, and Vasily Chantan. In your constructors standings heading into the next round in Bern, Hyperdrive Racing lead the way on 208 points, and it's App Sportsline on 185. Toyota Gazoo Racing on 161 points, then it's One Honda GP and MS Amlin Andretti. Aurelio Pinnacle currently 6th, and it's XEV Formula E team in 7th. Mercedes Formula E team are 8th, then it's Nissan Nismo Version Racing and Mahindra is still yet to break the 100-point score. We'll see you guys next time then from the Bern E3 in Season 16 of the Formula E Monopoly Championship.